To today's lesson. This is the first video. I'm learning React. I'm struggling, as many people would be learning React. So what I wanted to do is to take you guys through a to-do list app, which is a basic project that you could use to learn the functionalities of React, how to use React, and how to use hooks as well. How to use state and use effect here, how to store it to the local storage here, and to get the task when your page refreshes. So for example here, because I've put well, it was meant to be baddie is the best anyways, let me just, yeah, so yeah, so basically it was meant to be baddie is the best, but I deleted it. So when I refresh the page here, so look, it's still there. It doesn't get lost, as you can see at the top here. So what I want to try and explain is the concept of use state and use effect, and also as well just to create functions like to do, to add the new item to the list, and how to add it. So for example, when I create a new const for here, new to do, the ID is going to be date.now, the text is going to be what the person puts in, and completed is going to be false by default. So just to update it, we're going to use the set to dos. That's why we create it here in use state. So we're going to basically just to update this, and we're going to use the spread operator to expand the properties to include what was there before and to update the new task that's been updated. And then we're going to set the input to an empty string here. So this is just the first little video. Yeah, and then after we're going to create a delete button here, and how that works is we're going to pass through the ID of the date.now of that particular task that got created. Then we're gonna update the same thing we done here. We're basically just gonna update the to-dos, pass in the to-dos, then we're gonna filter it because we can't just delete the thing. It needs to know what it's gonna delete. So we're gonna pass in through the delete dot filter. That's a filter method. Yeah, and then we're gonna pass through like an item. Then we're gonna use the arrow function, which is a callback function, which will return the to-do.id. However, next, what we're gonna do, we've got is the double. Oh, what's the sign? I completely forgot. So is the double operator sign, which is a loose comparison. So you can have three operators. This is the strict. This is the strict operator sign, but we want it loose. Oops. So we're just going to use two here. That's why I actually just had an error. So if it's not this exclamation mark, it means it's not the same as this ID. If it's not the same as this ID that I'm passing through, then you can delete it. Okay. So now we're going to move on now to the toggle function. Let me just toggle function. Oh, sorry, it was meant to be two, because I want to make notes. I need the double sign here to be able to make notes here for if anybody else wants to read it or whatever. So this toggle sign. So we first need to create a function called toggle completed. Then we're going to pass through this ID here into the parameter. Then because what we need to toggle, we're going to update it. So this is again using the set to do's in the use state hook. So we're going to update it. And then now within this section here, we need to pass through what we need to update. So we want to update the to-dos, and because how can we do that? Well, we need to use the .map function. So this .map function allows us to iterate through the list. So it's basically just to go through the list. So if you say it here, so the .map will go through this one, this one, this one, this one, and create a new array or an object. Here, so .map function. Then we're gonna pass through one item here. Then we're gonna use the arrow function, which is a callback, and then we're going to pass through this item that we passed in through here in this parameter. Then we're going to .id, and then you know how we use the loose comparison operator, but this one has to be strict because it has to be that exact ID. So for example, to do .id, we're going to use the 3 strict operator to say is the to do.id equivalent to ID, yeah. And now we're going to use the ternary operator. This is a conditional statement, or like an operator. So basically what I have learned is if you use this question mark, so it's basically saying, okay, this question mark, if what here is true, if this is true, then produce this. Yeah. So this ternary operator is like, okay, if this is true, print this. And this, we're going to use the spread operator again because we want to expand the properties of the to-dos. Then we're going to use a comma. Then we're going to say if it's completed. So then completed. If it is not, remember this this exclamation mark means it's not. So if it's not the to-do dot completed, this colon here means else, or just otherwise print the to-dos. Yep. So I'm just using this first lesson anyways. I'm still learning myself, but I'll take you through. I'll make another video where I'll go through it properly, because obviously we've got to create what this is here. That's what you see on the screen. We've got the input, which is this. We got the placeholder. As you can see, the placeholder is just enter task. We got the value, which is what goes into the input. Then we're going to learn about the on change, what happens when the value is set. And you see this here on key down. So for example, this is an event. For example, if I press enter, then what happens? Then you can see the event is here. Dot key, which is on the keyboard, is strict operator to enter. Then it adds the to do. So when I write here testing, when I click enter, it adds it onto here. Yeah, so this is just the first little class anyways. And yeah, we'll talk later.